Good morning, good morning. Let's start off with today's day 5. Can you believe it? 5 days in. This is so exciting. I'm having so much fun doing this challenge. So let's just do a quick recap. We started off with talking about the motivational triad and understanding why humans do what we do. So pain, pleasure, and ease, right? So we avoid pain, we seek pleasure, and our brains like to be efficient. They like to take the path of least resistance. So that's why they remember to do things once we've done them so many times, so that it just becomes our automatic. Now, the second day we talked about removing the shoulds and why that is vital to how we feel about who we are and what we want to do. We also talked about deciding what we want. So not allowing the shoulds of life to decide where we go, but deciding what it is that we actually want in our lives, in our days, in our health, in our minds, our bodies. We need to deliberately start deciding what it is we want and stop allowing the shoulds to decide for us. Then the third day we talked about desire and what desire is and how to use the power of desire in your life instead of allowing desire to direct you. Yesterday, we talked about connecting with your why and the importance of the why in your life and why we experience pain in our everyday lives and that blueprint that we have and the life circumstance that we're living. And it's in this gap here that we experience the pain. It's in the gap that we have all of the shoulds. And when we can start to bring that gap together, when we can start to close that gap, is when we start to experience more happiness in our lives. And so today I want to talk about the power of focus and why the power of focus is so vital, but also how to dial in that focus to really get you to a place where you start creating momentum. So let's go back to the story of the mustard seed. I just love this analogy because for me, it just clarifies so much. First of all, remember I told you about, here I am and I've given you a gift of the mustard seed, this little tiny black seed. It's got so much potential, but if you don't know the value, if you don't know the potential, then most likely you're going to lose the mustard seed very quickly. But once you understand the potential of it, then all of a sudden it has a little bit more value. And so then when I give it to you as a gift, you take care of it a little bit better. You make sure you don't lose it because you know that it does have value. Now, without the knowledge about it, you can't do much with it. So then I sit down with you and I start teaching you. I teach you about the potential. I start giving you the knowledge around what the mustard seed could possibly create. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but without actually putting those ingredients together, then the mustard seed still lies dormant. So you've got the mustard seed and it's got all of its potential. And then I give you the knowledge about the ingredients. I give you the ingredients to actually grow this little mustard seed. You've got the mustard seed, you've got the knowledge, you know the potential, you've got all of the ingredients, you've got them all lined up. But if you do not, and this is what we're talking about today, if you do not take the time to focus in on doing something with it, then what's going to happen? It's all just going to sit there. It's never going to actually create anything. So when we use our focus to start putting this together is when we start to see the growth. Now, one thing I want to point out here to you is that I have given you this seed. So I talked to you about the importance of giving and how I truly believe that that is the door that unlocks the things that we want the most in our lives, is when we get our eyes off of ourselves and we look at others and we start giving to others. One thing I want to point out is the fact that in this whole mustard seed analogy is I have taken this mustard seed and I've given it to you, which allows the potential for growth in you. If we are not giving and we are not growing, then we are dying. And so this is why I'm so passionate about this subject and about this analogy, is because I don't only want that for my life, I want this for your life. And those are two vital ingredients that you must pay attention to. And you may think that you don't have anything to give, but you always have something to give. A word of encouragement, a smile, $1 to a homeless person, whatever it is, there's always an area to be able to give. The question I want to ask is, how are we using our focus? So we're talking about focus today. Are we using our focus against us, or are we using our focus for us? Because we have to focus in a way that builds our belief in the possibility of that mustard seed. If you keep trying to grow the mustard seed, but every day you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know if I actually believe charity. I don't know if the potential is actually in here, but I'm going to try. And you just keep on trying. So you're focused, but your being, how you're feeling, is going to affect your ability, that little seed. Some days you'll show up, some days you won't. Maybe you'll splash water on there and that little tiny green thing that showed up just goes. So the way that you focus is so vital. So let's look at, and I touched on this at the very beginning, what are you going to decide to focus on? Whatever it is that you focus on is going to create how you feel. And most of the time, we're not experiencing life. We're experiencing our ability to focus, what we are focused on. The quality of our lives is the quality of our emotions. And the ability to grow the muscle of focus is going to be vital. Listen to me very carefully. We have patterns that in our brain that are there because they are coming from the motivational survival triad. So our brain tells us we need to survive. That is the pattern that our brain wants to go in. And so when we can direct our focus in a way that actually makes us feel invigorated and alive and energized and excited by managing how we actually, not what we focus on, how we focus on. So the what and the how is so key. And when we are able to actually dial this in and see how are we focusing on something, how is it making me feel, you're going to start to see a shift in your life. So let's talk about how we are focused on the goal that we desire. So the thing that we desired at the very beginning, right? Not what we should do, not what we should focus on. What is it that we want to focus on? What is it that we want, that we decide to do? And the way that I see the purpose of a goal is, most people think that the purpose of a goal is to attain the goal. And they think that when they get the goal, it's going to make them feel a certain way, which is why they want the goal. I want to get married so that I can feel loved and I can feel happy and secure, and I want to have kids so that I can feel fulfilled. I want to, all of these things. When I get there, I will feel this way, but it's actually the complete opposite. The sooner you can feel the way you think you're going to feel when you attain the goal, the faster you're actually going to attain the goal. Stay with me here. So for me, goals reveal to me what I believe. And what I believe in life will be the direct experience of my life. So whatever I'm experiencing now in my current life situation is what I have been able to believe is possible. So setting goals requires us to increase the belief in what we don't currently see in our lives. It requires us to take the time to focus in on what we believe and decide deliberately to begin believing something else. Something new that will take us, that will teach us, that will force us to evolve into the new version of ourselves. And the more we do this, the more we build the ability and confidence needed to set the goals. Because so many people don't even set the goals for fear of failing. So they just fail ahead of time. They don't put themselves out there because they don't want to feel whatever comes up for them, defeated, discouraged, sad, disappointment, embarrassed, whatever it is. They do not want to risk the chance of feeling those emotions. And so they just don't set those goals. And how we think about the goal will directly affect our ability to attain it. So remember, it's not just about what it is you're focused on. It's about how you are focusing on it. How do you feel when you think about that dream house? Do you feel defeated? Do you feel like, oh man, I just don't, I'll never get there anyway? Is that what comes up for you? Because if that is the blueprint that's within you, then getting to that goal is going to be painful. It's going to be a struggle. But when you think of that dream house and you think, you know what? Eventually, I'm going to get that lake house. Eventually, that is going to be mine every day. I'm going to show up, and no matter what it takes, I'm going to get there. I'm going to attain this goal. All of a sudden, you feel confident. It doesn't mean you know the how. The how always comes later. If you know the what and you know the why, then the how is inevitable. You're just going to put yourself out there. You're going to figure out the capabilities. You're going to figure out what you need and who you need to get around you. You're going to figure that out because it's like a magnet that draws you to it. And this is how focusing on what it is you want and how you focus on it, it's how you put this magnetic action into action in your life. So first of all, what are you deciding to focus on, how you use that focus, what do you make it mean? This is huge. So we all put meanings to things in life. So let's actually use me as an example. This whole challenge that I put out there, my email program went totally haywire. And I could have made that mean that I was stupid, that I didn't know how to do this. Why would I put myself out there before I even got this right? Nobody's going to even be able to listen to what I say because I messed up. I'm not going to do this again. I feel embarrassed. And all of a sudden, I'm totally defeated. I'm totally discouraged. It's totally disempowering. But instead, this is something that I had to actually shift in my brain. It was like, no, you know what? This means that I'm willing to show up. This means that my why means more to me than how I feel in this moment. The people that are hurting, that need this message, that need this challenge, that need this kickstart out there, those are the people that this is going to reach. And that is what matters here. So what I make it mean is going to make all the difference whether I continue to move forward. And so watching what our brains, that pattern of focus, want to make it mean, because we have a lifetime of story in our head of what our brain wants to make things mean. But if you can direct your mind, you direct your focus, you decide what you make it mean, it puts you into a place of empowerment in your life. The third thing here is, what are you going to do at this point? Our life is controlled. And you guys are probably going to see I keep repeating things, and I repeat them because the brain needs that to be repeated, right? Our little neural pathways are like little ruts in a gravel road. And I don't know about you, but I grew up driving down this gravel road to take me to the campsite that I went to every weekend with my best friend. And there was ruts in that road. And I drove a big boat of a car, like a big boat of a car. And people always laugh because I was so little and I drove this big old, I don't even remember what it was, but it was literally, it floated on the road. And every time, if I just went like this outside of that rut, the car would jerk back into that rut. And that's exactly what our brains do. It wants to jerk us back. So we're repeating, reminding ourselves, doing whatever we can to get it in our eyes, to get it in our head, to get it in our heart. And until it becomes that natural who we are, how we do things. So our life is controlled by the decisions that we make. Our experience of life is controlled by the decisions that we are making. So what decisions are you making today? What decisions are you making when it comes time to fuel your body, the input of your mind, the choices you make every day, how to show up? What are the decisions that you are consciously making today? Because the experience of our life's circumstances, and the blueprint and closing that gap is going to be based off of these three things that we're focused on. And so today's tool that I'm going to give you is going to help to clarify some of the things that you've been focused on. It's easy to get focused on what we can't control, what's going on in the world. All of a sudden we're feeling negative all the time, frustrated all the time. That's why I said no news for 7 days. Because it's very easy to get focused on what we can't control instead of focusing on what can we control right now. One of the most common areas that people focus on is what they don't have versus what they do have. If I ask you what it is you don't want, God, you could write a list 10 pages long. It's amazing when I am doing consult calls with clients and I'm like, okay, so like, what's going on in your life? And then I ask them, so what do you want? What would be ideal? And they just keep telling me, well, it would be great if I didn't do this and if I didn't do that anymore. I'm like, no. What do you want? So are you focused on what it is that you have or what you don't have? What you do want or what you don't want? It's good to know those things, to use them as a tool. But the majority of your time, is it focused there or is it focused on what it is you do want, on what it is you do have? And do you focus more on the past, present, or future? This is vital in actually enjoying the journey. Like I said, it's not about attaining the goal. It's about having happiness and enjoying the journey. And the more time you spend in the past, which usually comes with a whole lot of regret, more time you spend in the future wishing or like waiting for that next vacation versus being in this moment. What is amazing? What is perfect about right now? Really just like looking around and being able to look at your children, really being present with them in all of their craziness, in all of their shitty diapers, in all of their moments of interrupting. And I don't know, I don't have kids. That's just what I'm imagining. Hence why I don't have kids. That's where my focus goes. But what is it that you're focused on? Like a lot of brains, the way a brain can be wired is they naturally, those people who are just like, they naturally are pessimists. It's actually, it can be something that's like going on in the gear shifter of their brain. And it's not that they necessarily want to be that way. It's that their brain is wired that way. And you can rewire your brain. That's the beauty of it. But first of all, you have to be aware of it. And you have to start choosing something different. And so what is it that you're most commonly focused on? Is it present, past, future? And when you can bring yourself into the present, you can use the future, like setting goals, as a tool. Spend time there, but not all your time, just a little bit to draw you there. In the past, learn from it, but don't beat yourself up over it. You just learn from it. You do, you observe and tweak, and we're going to get to that tomorrow, but it's going to draw you there. Be in this moment. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just compare yourself to who you were 1 moment ago. One degree. It's just about 1 degree. 1 degree of change. Because that is what will get you there. Or 1 degree this way. Think about where that's going to get you in the long term. 1 cookie a day. 1 ice cream a day. Think about the compound interest of that. Or just 1 degree difference. Just be better than a moment ago. Choose different than a moment ago. Wherever you're at in this journey, it's just 1 degree. Don't look at other people's journey. Just keep your eyes on your own road. I'm going to challenge you today to look at where have you been focusing? How have you been focusing? And the more time, energy, and focus in a way that serves you will get you to where you want to go much faster. Thank you, ladies, for tuning in. I hope your day is filled with beautiful things, and I really pray that this video has inspired you to just believe that you can do this. I know that you can. So I love you, and I will see you mañana. Oh, I'm going camping all weekend, so these videos are gonna be at the campsite. So see you at the campsite.